Yesterday, the Trump administration ended its deferred resignation offer that had gone out to the 2 million federal government employees. And so that was done. And in its place came the mass firings, which have now begun. So initially, these were targeted at what are considered probationary employees. These are people who've been hired within the last 1 to 2 years, depending on which agency you're talking about, and therefore have fewer protections to stop the president from firing them, for whatever reason he wants. And among the agencies experiencing layoffs were the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Office of Personnel Management, the EPA, the General Services Administration, and the Small Business Administration. And so to give you an idea of how you go about potentially firing countless thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, at OPM, workers joined a call and they were greeted with a pre-recorded message from the acting director notifying them of the firing. According to someone familiar with the call, about 200 workers were on the call. So it wasn't even one of those things that goes viral where like a CEO tells 200 people on Zoom they're fired. He wasn't even there. He just recorded a video, like an audio message to them, and then they were gone. But he did end it nicely. He expressed hope that those fired would, quote, use this as an opportunity for your next step forward. That's nice as you're fired. Anyway, so that's all those agencies. It got a little bit more interesting and fun later on in the day, a little bit more recently. They apparently also fired between 1,200 and 2,000 employees at the Department of Energy, but appeared to partly backtrack amid safety concerns. Now you might wonder, wait, why would it be particularly damaging to get rid of people in the Department of Energy? Well, Rick Scott's gonna wanna pay attention to this one. That's because, it's a throwback, nobody's gonna get that. One source revealed that approximately 325 employees have been dismissed from the National Nuclear Security Administration, which oversees the US nuclear weapons fleet and works to secure radiological materials worldwide. However, another source said those layoffs had been partly rescinded, mainly for essential nuclear security workers. So I feel much better. They fired hundreds of people that secure nukes, and then after that they realized, oh, that might not be a great idea actually. And they reversed some of it. But still, we don't know how many are remaining of those 325, and definitely a couple thousand people were fired overall. And remember, they don't just secure nuclear power plants in general are important sites, targets potentially for terror attacks and those sorts of things. But again, everybody must go.
It's like the Caddyshack, right? When they tell Bill Murray to kill the guy with the Scottish accent, kill all the golfers. And he said, well, if you kill all the golfers, then no one's gonna be here on the course. He said, no, golfers, kill the golfers. It's just like, oh, the security, nuclear security people. Oh wait, but then who's gonna do the nuclear security?
Yeah, so look, this isn't just wrong, it's painfully dumb. And so like, again, go on some right-wing shows, interact with social media, and a comment you hear all the time is, well, it's okay because Elon Musk is so smart. To which I would ask, is he? Like, I get it, he's super rich. And I get it, some of his companies, by the way, are terrific. Like SpaceX is amazing, Starlink is a wonder, I wonder how he did it because he doesn't seem rational at all. And remember, he bought a lot of these companies and he doesn't necessarily run these companies. He's running the government now, he's not running these companies at all. So he's a mystery to me as to how he functions in this world and how he got to where he is. And he's mainly a marketing guy, kind of like Trump. But what is not smart is, let's just fire everybody at the Department of Energy, even though they work with nukes, and then see how it turns out. That is super stupid. Like, because guys, let's say I'm a right winger and I want to do this right. I wouldn't come in with a hatchet for 2 reasons. Number one, you're gonna fire the wrong people and it's gonna be a disaster. And not just for the country, but also for you. Because then people are gonna think, wait, who's guarding the nukes? You morons, right? And remember, everyone who voted for Trump is not MAGA. He won a lot of independents, and independents are not MAGA. They're up in the air. They voted for Obama, they voted for Biden, they voted for Trump. And they're like, you fired the guys who are in charge of the nukes? You idiots, right? So it doesn't help anyone. So I would say scalpel rather than a hatchet. I know MAGA would say scalpel's not enough. Okay, so let's go with an old school analogy for my people. A dagger rather than a scimitar, okay? So with a scimitar, you're chopping up to it. Dagger's a little bit better than the thing. And you should remember, I'm telling you guys, if you're right wing, And I don't want this. I don't want any of this. But if you're right wing and you go, oh, who cares? Just chop, 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 and then we'll see where the nukes are later. You're screwing up. That's not the way to accomplish your goal, right? So now, as to why they're doing this, don't lose track. They're talking about cuts, 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 and I interact with MAGA all the time. They love the cuts, and they like cut all of USAID. Totally disagree with them on that. We fight about it, blah blah blah, right? But they love the cuts because they think they're saving money. Remember, you're not going to save a dime. All of this is going to go towards the corporate tax cuts, and it's not going to be anywhere near enough.
Yeah.
The corporate tax cuts are going to be about $4 trillion. So hey, we saved a couple of $1 million by firing the guys who are looking over the nukes. What difference does it make? 4, not billion, trillion is going to go to the corporate tax cuts.
Yeah.
This is all in service of that. I'm so curious what's going to happen. I think with independence, it's going to be clear. They're going to be like, what? All this was so the rich could get even richer, right? But with MAGA, I am curious if they're going to get to that conclusion or if they're going to be like, no. If the rich are even richer, it'll trickle down. Wait, I thought we were opposed to that. Okay, so let's see how it goes. And like I said, the last thing is, once you lose the independence, you lose elections.
Yeah.
So this is a super dumb way to go about it, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing left unsaid, right? Once you lose them, you lose everything. And if you had them to begin with, and this just wasn't an election where people were not enthused on the Democratic side and didn't come out and vote, because we know that happened. If you had them at all, you're definitely losing them. And if you didn't have them, you're not going to get them back. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
And don't forget, it's not like the Democrats never do cuts. I know like in popular mythology that never happens, et cetera. And I understand why that's a line of thinking exists. And I bet I could trim some fat from the federal government and from the federal government workforce too. But I would go with a scalpel. And did Democrats ever do that before? Yes, Al Gore did it. And Al Gore actually did cut from the budget a lot. And guess what they did at the end of it? They actually balanced the budget. Like people forget that happened. It happened under Bill Clinton and Al Gore. And so there is a right way to do this. And when he did that, by the way, almost no one complained because the right wing liked the cuts,
right?
The Democrats did the cuts, and the cuts were smart. It actually did target waste, fraud, and abuse, and no one objected.
And
that's the right way.
Deliberate and thought out, and it took a while, more than months. I mean, I feel like it took a couple of years even. I mean, I think it was I may be wrong, but I think
thought I read about a 6-month initial study, but you might be right in the long
the
term,
study, but the enacting of it, you don't just go in and you do what just happened. Again, I like to say you don't use a scimitar.
Yeah, that's. I mean, everybody in my D&D group uses that exact analogy on a daily basis. Nerd. Yeah. But anyway,
I mean, guys, look. Even if you're super right wing, at a bare minimum, don't you have to check who you're firing?
Yeah.
Like that's just the smallest amount of common sense, the lowest bar, and they couldn't clear that bar. Hey, shouldn't we check? Yeah. Maybe we're firing someone important.
You use a magic missile, not a fireball, obviously. You roll them dice. My final quick point I want to make, so the pattern that we know exists when you have a Democratic administration and a Republican, Democrat, Republican is the Republicans come in, they hand trillions of dollars to the wealthy, they wreck the economy, and then the Democrats have to try desperately to dig us out of that. And they do the best job they can, but inevitably it hurts, and so people get frustrated. And so economically, the Democrats always get screwed by the prior Republican administration. So that was economically. Now we have a new thing where you're not just gonna inherit a bad economy, you're gonna inherit no government. The whole agencies will be shut down. Entire cabinet departments will be gone. The workforce, all the institutional knowledge, hundreds of thousands of employees will be gone. So how do you even dig out at that point? You come in and you have a skeleton crew remaining, and you have, sure, millions of Americans that are like, I want a skeleton crew because they're all bad, they're all libs in there. But no, a lot of them are conservatives, a lot of them have worked there for literally decades under multiple different parties, and they've accrued knowledge and they know how to make things work. And so, like, I know that this isn't a violation, well, in some cases it's a violation of a law, that's pretty clear. Mostly it's a norm that, yeah, you get in, you get to pursue your policies, but you don't get to ignore the laws that are already passed, and you don't get to erase the government so that if you lose next time, there's nothing remaining for the other party to inherit.
Yeah, and that's especially true once they cut the aid. A lot of those organizations go under, and you can't bring them back.
100%.
And so, by the way, that's also a lot of lost jobs on top of everything else.
It crushes the unemployment numbers.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.